my mission statement or my personal mission is to help people, whether students or employees or alumni or friends, discern and then claim their personal and professional purpose, and then design a life that will allow them to live out that personal and professional purpose. I really see Grandview as a personal and professional development organization. Yes, it's a higher education institution. Yes, we have those degree pathways that allow students to earn a credential or earn a degree when they get out. But at the end of the day, it's also about developing all of you as people and developing you as much as possible so that when you leave here, you can keep that development going, because the reality is we will all be learning and developing for the rest of our lives. Prior to coming to Grandview, I was president at Briarcliff University, and I was there for 5 years. I did not start out as president, and so I think one of the things that I would like the Grandview students to know about me is that while I am not your traditional president in terms of coming up through the academic ranks and being a professor first and then a provost or a dean and then moving into the presidency, which is traditionally has been at least half and sometimes upwards of 70–80% of college presidents come through that academic background. I do bring a background in law. I was a lawyer for nearly 20 years before pivoting to higher education. And then my initial foray into higher education was through fundraising, which I think will certainly be a helpful skill set here at Grandview. It definitely was a helpful skill set for me at Briarcliff. And so when I arrived at Briarcliff, I was initially the chief of staff and university attorney. And essentially the chief of staff role was the chief operations officer of the university. So really it was designed to manage all things internal, while the president who hired me was planning to handle all things external, as well as the academic piece, because that was his background. And then about 2.5 months into my role at Briarcliff, the president who hired me resigned. The board asked me to run things while they figured out what to do. And so I was elevated to executive vice president in charge of day-to-day operations, and then was eventually named interim president while a national search was conducted, and then ultimately was named the president of Briarcliff after the longest job interview of my life. With regard to my presidency at Briarcliff, the transition was absolutely not smooth. Even though I was an internal employee, because of the nature of how I stepped into that role, again, through no fault of my own, there was a lot of chaos and turmoil and trauma that happened, and I can't really talk about the specifics, but it was not a positive thing, the president leaving, and so I kind of had to step into the middle of all that and manage in the midst of chaos, and then also not only keep the university going, but of course the goal was to advance the university. So I would say that I had a lot of challenges there that I don't have here, thankfully, but those challenges and the work that I was required to do and the leadership that I was required to provide there has definitely been helpful, and a skill set that I've developed that is helping me lead here at Grandview. With regard to my vision for Grandview, I would love to continue to build, obviously, on the very strong foundation that is already here. A few elements that are important to me are obviously focusing on our students and their sense of belonging here, because research shows that when you feel a part of something, when you feel welcome, when you feel not excluded, i.e. included, then your learning is expanded and supported. And you also have a sense of connection to place and people. And so it just optimizes your overall experience and also your overall performance. I don't really know a better word, but you are here to get a degree at the end of the day, and we want that to be a positive and productive experience for you. From the moment I set foot on campus here at Grandview, I have felt welcomed. My husband, Jim, the first dude, has felt welcomed. Our dog, Hava, has felt welcomed. And I shared a little bit about this earlier, but my situation at my former institution, while I was welcomed because of the circumstances, it wasn't your traditional, we're excited to bring in a new president, there's an announcement, and now we can build for the future, that kind of thing. Here at Grandview, it has been all of that and more. And it's not lost on me that I'm the first female president as well, and I believe that decision goes far beyond gender. It really goes to the idea that anything is possible. We had 126 years of consecutive male leadership here at Grandview, right, wrong, or indifferent, it just was. But the fact that I'm the first female opens up the possibility to our students and to our faculty and staff that, yeah, okay, we're heading in the right direction, and this type of a role is possible for anyone. And I think it's also relatively unusual that I'm president here and that I was born and raised and educated in Iowa, because a lot of institutions, for one reason or another, are often looking for a new perspective or someone new who comes from a different place. But I think the board here saw that because I'm from Iowa and because I'm committed to this place, and I call myself an Iowa championeer. I love this state. I have no intentions of leaving. And as a result, I am committed and will absolutely and am invested in our state and this community. I think the fact that I am the first female president here at Grandview absolutely is impacting and rippling and changing the culture across campus and hopefully beyond. I've already been asked to provide a devotion at the Pride group coming up. I want to get involved in all of our student groups in one way or another as much as I can. Obviously, it's not possible for me to be everywhere at everything, but I certainly want to support all areas of campus. So the day that my identification was announced back in March, that I was the one who was going to be the choice of the search committee and the board, I had a friend who is a faculty member at another institution in the area come here to support me. And he was walking around campus, and he happened to be coming down the big stairway here in the student center, and there were two students in front of him. There was what he identified as a male student and a female student. And there were a lot of people here that day because the presidential announcement was happening, and the male student said to the female student, "Boy, there's a lot of people here on campus. I wonder what's happening today." And she said, "Honestly, I don't know." And then my friend said, "Well, they're announcing the new president today," because he happened to be right behind them. And the female student looked at her friend and my friend and said, "I wonder what he's like." And then my friend said to her, "Well, I know her personally, and pardon my language, but I'm just quoting what he said." And he goes, "And she's a badass." And the female student just immediately was chagrined and said, "Shame on me for just assuming that it was a male, but how awesome that it's a female." I spoke earlier this week at the Future World of Work Summit, and the Internet of Things, the information that we are exposed to, is doubling every couple of days. And within the next couple of years, it will double every 11 hours. So that could be overwhelming to people, but it's not overwhelming if you're curious and you love learning and you feel confident enough and courageous enough to keep learning, and you know how to do that. You've done it, you achieved it while you were here at Grandview, and just instilling and injecting that confidence into our students and our graduates as they go out into the world, because the reality is you will experience change throughout the rest of your life, whether that's personal or professional, and we want you to feel capable and strong and courageous and equipped to do that. And it's going to absolutely matter in the world of work. And if you can demonstrate that I know how to learn best for me, I'm excited to learn, let me show you how I can learn and how quickly I can learn, and that I'm willing to learn, and then I can be the best asset for you as an employee, or if I choose to be an entrepreneur, I can do it myself. Really just depends on the path that you choose. And the reality is your path will change over and over and over again throughout your life.